Welcome to the Raising Confident Girls podcast, your guide to raising strong, confident daughters. I'm Melissa Jones, the founder of Girls Positivity Club and a teacher for over 20 years. In a world where girls often feel overwhelmed, anxious, and confused, this podcast is your go-to space. As caregivers, we navigate challenges together. I founded Girls Positivity Club to provide a place where you belong and get the tools to face today's hurdles. Consider this your regular check-in with a trusted friend, offering insights and practical tips for meaningful conversations. I'm here to help you feel confident on this journey of raising a generation of empowered girls. Let's dive in and raise those confident girls together. Hey everybody, it's Melissa and welcome back to Raising Confident Girls. I want to start with a moment that catches a lot of parents off guard. Your daughter comes home from a practice or a lesson or some kind of activity. Maybe it's soccer, maybe it's dance, maybe it's piano, maybe it's theater, maybe gymnastics or horseback riding. At one point, she couldn't wait to go. She talked about it in the car, she practiced at home, she counted down the days until the next practice or lesson. And then one day, something shifts. She shrugs and says, I think I want to quit. And for a moment, you almost wonder if you heard her right, because this is the activity she used to love. It can feel a little bit like whiplash. So you ask why. And the answers aren't always very clear. She might say, I'm just not good at it anymore. Or everyone else is better than me. Or sometimes simply, I don't know. I just don't want to do it anymore. And suddenly you're standing in one of the most complicated parenting moments there is. Do you encourage her to push through? Do you respect the change and let her stop? Or do you worry that letting her quit might teach her to give up whenever something gets hard? Because if you're like most parents, your mind starts racing. You think, is she quitting too quickly? Should I make her stick with it? What if she regrets quitting later? Or sometimes the opposite. What if she's really ready for something different? What if pushing her makes her resent it? And what looks like a simple decision about an activity can suddenly feel like a much bigger parenting moment. Because underneath that decision are deeper questions about confidence, identity, resilience, and growth. And over the years in working with girls, I've noticed that when girls suddenly want to quit something they once loved, it usually falls into 4 patterns. Understanding those patterns can help parents respond with a lot more clarity. And the first pattern is that comparison changes the experience. The first thing often changes for girls is comparison. When girls are younger, they participate in activities mostly for enjoyment. They run, they dance, they sing, they draw, they play sports because it's fun. But somewhere between about 8 and 12, something developmentally starts to shift. Girls begin noticing where they stand compared to other people. They notice who learns faster, who performs better, who gets more recognition, who seems naturally talented. And when that awareness enters the picture, an activity that once felt joyful can suddenly feel exposing. I once talked with a girl who had taken a break from dance for a while. And we talked about how that was a healthy thing to do if you feel like you need a break from something. And she decided that ultimately she really did love dance and she wanted to go back to it. She tried some other things, those served their purpose, and then she wanted to go back to dance. So she went back to her same dance school. And when she came back to class, the other girls that she was friends with and in class with had moved ahead. And she hadn't regressed in her skill enough to be put back into a beginner class, but the other girls had moved on to a little bit more of an advanced class and she was somewhere in the middle. And the dance teacher was like, well, I don't want to put you in the next level down because it's all girls that are way younger than you. So let's go ahead and put you back with your peer group and we'll support you along the way and it'll be fine. And the girls will be so happy to see you. And what she discovered when she stepped in that class that, yes, she knew all the girls and they were happy to have her back, but she noticed the choreography was harder, the combinations were faster, and she found herself watching the other girls pick things up quickly while she was still trying to remember the first step or the first sequence of steps. And so the room suddenly felt different. Not because she didn't love dance anymore, because she discovered when she stepped away that she really did, but because she felt like she had fallen behind when she stepped away. Parents often hear things when this happens, like, everyone else is better than me. I'm the worst one. I don't want people watching me when I know they already know what to do. And in those moments, quitting isn't always about the activity itself. It's about the discomfort of feeling visible while struggling. And this is the part where parents sometimes accidentally make the moment heavier without even realizing it. When we respond with something like, everyone struggles at first, or you just need to practice more, our intention is encouragement. But girls who already feel behind sometimes hear this as confirmation that they're the one not keeping up. So instead of focusing first on whether she should quit, it can help to explore what changed. You might say something like, has it started to feel different than it used to? Or is this activity itself the thing that feels different, or the way it feels being in class now? Sometimes girls just need help naming the pressure they're feeling. And when that pressure is acknowledged, many girls regain the courage to keep trying. And this is where parents often feel confused, because from the outside, quitting because something feels uncomfortable and quitting because something truly no longer fits can look exactly the same. Which brings us to our second pattern. Fear of failure often sounds like, I don't like it anymore. The second pattern parents often see is fear of failure, but girls rarely say that directly. Instead, parents hear things like, it's boring, I don't like it anymore, it's not fun. Underneath those statements can sometimes be something more vulnerable. Like, what if I'm not good enough? I see this a lot in sports. A girl might love soccer when she's younger. She enjoys practice, she enjoys being with her teammates. But as the level of play increases, the environment starts to change. Suddenly there are tryouts. There's more competition, travel teams, more pressure to perform. And the game that once felt playful now starts to feel like a place where mistakes matter more. And that doesn't mean that our girls can't play at a high level of something. That's not what I mean here. But a girl who once ran happily across the field might start saying things like, I'm just not that good. Everyone else is better. Or I don't want to play anymore. Parents sometimes interpret this as a lack of commitment, but often what's actually happening is that the activity has started to feel like a place where she might be judged. And quitting can feel safer than continuing. This is also a moment where parents sometimes unintentionally escalate things. When we say things like, you can't just quit because something's hard, or you've already put so much time into this. Girls who are feeling insecure can sometimes hear, you're not allowed to struggle. So one helpful approach here is to separate effort from identity. You might say, most things get harder right before we start getting better at them. Or it's okay to be in a part where you still feel like you're figuring it out. And instead of forcing a permanent decision right away, you might suggest, what if we try it for a few more weeks? Or what if we try it for the rest of the season? Or what if we try it for the rest of the semester and see how it feels? Because sometimes girls just need reassurance that struggling doesn't mean they don't belong there. But here's where things can get even more nuanced. Because sometimes quitting isn't about comparison and it isn't about fear. Sometimes it's about something even deeper. Sometimes quitting is identity development. As girls grow, they begin discovering who they are. Their interests evolve. Their sense of identity becomes clearer. Something that fit them at age 7 may not fit them the same way at age 11 or 13. I've seen this happen with music. Some girls take piano or violin lessons for years. They practice every week, they perform in recitals, and music becomes part of the rhythm of family life. But somewhere along the way, something else starts pulling their attention. Maybe theater, maybe art, maybe writing, maybe getting involved with animals in some way. And suddenly they say, I think I want to stop taking lessons. Parents are often surprised by this moment because music has been part of their routine for so long. And it may be your daughter's biggest passion. But sometimes that shift isn't about quitting. It's about a girl discovering what actually energizes her now. And this is where parents sometimes feel a quiet emotional reaction of their own. Because when your daughter has done something, no matter what it is, for music, if it's sports or whatever, when you're driven her to her lessons, you've listened to her practice, you've watched her perform, that activity becomes part of the story of your family too. So when she wants to stop, it can feel like something meaningful is ending. And it can also feel confusing because you're like, should I let her quit? Is this the right decision? But sometimes what actually is happening is growth. Helping girls explore their evolving interest is part of helping them develop a sense of identity. You might ask, what feels exciting to you right now? Or if you weren't doing this activity, what do you think you'd want to try? That curiosity invites reflection instead of resistance. And it doesn't always mean that she does have to quit. Maybe she spends a little bit less time doing that and explores something else too. Or you figure out what would fit with your daughter's interest and figure out like what is sparking her curiosity. She may just need a little variety. And she might say that she still loves piano or she still likes the violin or she still wants to do that. She just doesn't want to do it as her main thing anymore. And that sometimes is really hard for us to hear. The fourth pattern is that the goal isn't preventing quitting, it's helping her learn how to decide. The biggest question that parents ask in this moment is, should I make her stick with it? Because we want our daughters to build resilience. We want them to learn how to work through hard things and not just give up when one little thing doesn't go right or they're going to the next level and they should just give up. We don't want them to grow up believing that whenever something gets uncomfortable, the answer is to walk away. But there's another layer to this moment that parents don't always talk about. Sometimes when a daughter wants to quit something she used to love, the parent is grieving it a little too. Not in a dramatic way, but in a quiet way. Because when your daughter has done something for years, when you've driven her to practices, watched her performances, cheered from the sidelines, rearranged your schedule around it, that activity becomes part of the story of your family. So when she says she wants to stop, it can feel like a chapter is ending. And sometimes that's where the tension parents feel actually comes from. Not just concern about her decision, but the feeling of letting go of something that has been part of your lives for a long time. I've felt that myself in Girls Positivity Club because I want girls to stay in it forever because there's something new they can gain through every year that they're in it. But every once in a while, a girl leaves the club because another opportunity opens up. Maybe acting or theater or something else that meets on that same day that she just wants to try out. And If I'm honest, those moments can sting a little because you care deeply about that thing, whatever it is. For me, it's Girls Positivity Club, and I want the girls to stay because I know there's something new we can offer each time. But over time, I've learned to look at those moments differently. Sometimes a girl got exactly what she needed from that season. Maybe she found her voice. Maybe she built confidence. Maybe she made friendships she was longing to make. Maybe she learned how to speak up or try new things. And now she's ready to carry those tools into another part of her life. And when I look at it that way, it doesn't feel like something was lost. It feels like something did its job. And that's often the way activities work in childhood. Some stay, some evolve, some serve a purpose for a season. So instead of trying to force the right answer immediately, one of the most helpful things parents can do in this moment is slow the decision down. Instead of saying yes or no right away, you might ask your daughter something simple, like, what feels different about it now? That question opens the door to reflection instead of reaction. Because believe me, when I have had this experience as a parent, you feel that like knee-jerk reaction or that like shock of, wait, what? I thought that was your thing. And learning, though, how to pause and how to reflect on decisions is one of the most important skills girls will carry into adulthood. Because life will be full of moments where they have to decide. Do I push through this? Or is it time to move in a new direction? And those decisions become much easier when they've had practice thinking them through with a parent who listens. So if your daughter is in one of these moments right now, one question that can bring clarity is this. Is she trying to escape discomfort? Or is she discovering something new about herself? Sometimes the answer becomes clearer when we listen long enough. And one of the things that I've learned from working with girls 25 plus years is that their interests are often part of how they discover themselves. Activities aren't just things girls do. They're places where girls try on different versions of who they might become. Sometimes they stay with something for years. Sometimes they outgrow it. Sometimes they take a break and come back later with a completely different perspective. And sometimes an activity simply served its purpose for a season of their life. And as parents, those moments can feel emotional. Because when we watch our daughters do something for years, when we drive them to practice, cheer from the sidelines, or hear them practicing in the other room, that activity becomes part of the story of our family too. So when they want to stop, it can feel like the story is changing. But the truth is, the real story was never about the activity. It was about what your daughter was learning along the way. Persistence, courage, effort, self-awareness. Those things don't disappear just because an activity ends. In fact, sometimes those lessons are exactly what help girls step into whatever comes next. So if your daughter is in one of those moments right now, where something she once loved suddenly feels different, try to remember this. This moment isn't just about whether she stays or goes. It's about helping her learn to navigate effort, change, and self-discovery. And those are skills that will stay with her long after an activity ends. I hope this was helpful. Please share it with someone that you think it could help too, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for joining another empowering episode of the Raising Confident Girls podcast. Share today's insights with caregivers and friends, building beautiful relationships with strong girls. Hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. We're not just a podcast, we're a community. Follow Girls Positivity Club on social media for more empowering content on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. This podcast empowers you, supporting incredible girls. Let's create strong, beautiful relationships with the girls in our lives. I appreciate you listening today. Stay confident, stay connected. Until next time, keep raising those confident girls. You've got this.